Anger is a perfectly natural and normal human response to fear and uncertainty, a sense by which we are not in control of our experience in the manner we might wish to be. It feels like there's an increasing level of anger in the world if media and social media are an accurate measure of things, which they are certainly not always, which means that there is a corresponding escalation in fear and uncertainty, and an accompanying sense of a loss of control. One of the problems with anger is that it causes fear and uncertainty in those around us, which is likely to generate more anger. This combination makes it harder and harder to communicate with each other effectively. Our earliest experiences of anger occur before we're aware of the concept and present itself in the form of a temper tantrum. This is the bane of the parent trying to navigate their toddler through the supermarket. What is happening here is that the model of the world the child predicts is not being met by their experience in reality. The consequence of such a finding on the system with insufficient experience in navigating these feelings is to dissolve either into tears, rage, or a terrifying combination of the two. As we're socialized, we learn to recognize these feelings more reliably and learn to express ourselves in more helpful ways. We also begin to learn that the world is not always as we want it to be, and that we share it with others who may not have the same desires for the present moment that we do. That said, the fundamentals that apply to the toddler still apply to our adult lives. When we're confronted by our own experience of anger as an adult, we will find that the root principle is identical to our 2-year old experience. We are in a situation which we are not in control of, making us feel uncomfortable or afraid. Anger is not the only response to this feeling, and we have the emotional selection box of fight, flight, or freeze in some greater or lesser aspect. Unlike a selection box at Christmas, we're very unlikely to be able to choose our response in the moment, as part of this is our deeply wired neurological response hierarchy. So, what is anger doing? In the short term, anger primes our bodies for action, causing adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol to be released. These work to increase our heart rate, blood pressure, increasing flow to our limbs to support our muscles for action, and reducing blood flow and function in areas superfluous to the moment, such as digestion. In the brain, the amygdala becomes more heightened and the prefrontal cortex is inhibited. This means we're more likely to make rapid emotional responses and less likely to be able to use slower reason. This is all well and good when we're facing an immediate physical threat, but less helpful if we're having a bad day with our boss or we're engaged in an argument with a child or partner. In the long term, anger is incredibly destructive physiologically speaking. As with any long term stress response in the body, we are at risk of high blood pressure, which can increase the risk of heart attack, stroke, and atherosclerosis. Furthermore, persistent stress weakens our immune system and increases inflammation in the cells, which is linked to higher risk of disease and cancers. Our digestive system is also likely to be impacted, and we may experience persistent muscle tension, especially in the shoulders, neck, and jaw, which can result in headaches. If this wasn't enough, then there can be structural changes in the brain, good old neuroplasticity at work here, meaning an enlarged amygdala and reduced prefrontal cortex, resulting in an increased likelihood of emotional regulation issues. Ultimately, this cocktail can result in us decreasing our own lifespan whilst making life pretty hellish for those around us. So, what can we do to help us navigate our anger? Unfortunately, simply trying to suppress or bottle up our anger is not an effective long term strategy, although it may be essential in the moment to prevent damaging relationships in others. Bottling in no way mitigates the negative effects of the body, and without an appropriate release for these responses, the long term effects of stress will start to accumulate. Suppression also only works for so long, and if the root causes are not identified and addressed, there will come a time where the residual layers of self control collapse and the anger erupts. Instead, recognizing the nature of anger for what it is, a fear response to a sense of loss of control, will allow us to look deeper at the situation we're in. What is it about this moment which is causing this fear? This critical insight can help prevent us from lashing out emotionally at something which may well not be at fault for our feelings. We can then work on understanding the root triggers behind our anger. We're seldom looking at the present purely as it is, but rather through the lens of the past. Something that is making us angry in this moment is almost certainly pulling complex layers of our past back to the surface as part of our model of prediction in how to face the moment we are in. In the moment, taking control of our physiology can also help navigate feelings of anger in a far more constructive way. As noted above, anger increases breathing and heart rate. So, if we work on the opposite by breathing slowly, then we can return the body to a state of calm. This will allow us to re engage more of the prefrontal cortex, which in turn will allow us better reflection on what is actually happening. These steps might sound simple, but they'll only become easy through practice. However, once implemented, they offer a powerful toolkit for helping to navigate our emotional space, whatever emotion we're wrestling with. And this is what we'll be discussing at the next MindFit community group, 6 p.m. on Thursday, the 25th of September at Retro Cave Cafe, Ashley Road, Poole. I hope to see you there, and thank you for listening.